Hi, I'm Reese Davis, and welcome to ESPN Classic Remembers NC State Upsets Houston. In 1983, the Wolfpack of North Carolina State, dubbed the Cardiac Pack, clawed its way through adversity to become the first team with double-digit losses to win the national championship. That accomplishment not only gave new meaning to March Madness, it was one of the finest hours in the history of college basketball, as a remarkable coach and his players taught us something about dreaming and about heart.
Coach V's deal was always survive and advance, survive and advance. And that was as much a description of our team in that year as any I've ever heard.
Don't give up on the cardiac kid, the Cinderella Marquette.
For our expectations, we had high hopes going into that season because of the experience we had. We had three seniors. We had Sidney Lowe, Derek Wittenberg, and Thurl Bailey.
Thurl Bailey was one of the guys that made life very difficult for the opponent because at 6'11", he was hard to guard on the perimeter.
There's Bailey, three-point try.
Derek was a real tough, hard-nosed type guy.
Wittenberg through all that traffic.
Sid just was an excellent floor leader, knew when to pass it to the right guy.
Lowe just threads the needle.
Thurl was kind of like the quiet guy, and Sidney was kind of the tactician, and I was the guy to get in your face if you don't play hard enough.
Thurl Bailey, Derek Wittenberg, and Sidney Lowe had been recruited by Norm Sloan, who back in 1974 guided North Carolina State to its first national title. After the 1980 season, a 34-year-old ball of energy named Jim Valvano was hired to replace Sloan, who had left for the University of Florida.
I walked into his office and I told him I'm going with you, and he said, "No, you're not." And I sat there and cried like a baby because this is my coach.
I decided to stay and didn't know anything about this little Italian guy talking about this dream that he knows he's going to win a national championship. He knows it's going to happen.
I think it's a tribute to the players to accept this crazy guy from New York and to come down here and starts telling you, let's start cutting down the nets at the end of practice because you need to know how to act when you win that championship.
Remember to just keep your composure, keep your poise.
Valvano had coached Iona College into the previous two NCAA tournaments.
He was a man that allowed you to be yourself. He'll allow you to play as hard as you wanted to play. He gave you freedom on the court.
He had a will to win within himself, and he extended that will to the players. He made the 12th to 13th guy on that bench feel like you can score the winning basket today.
Valvano's Wolfpack opened the 1982-83 season ranked 16th. Winning 7 of its first 9 games, NC State had a chance to make a statement against second-ranked Virginia in mid-January. In the first half, Wittenberg exploited the ACC's experimental three-point line.
Cross-court Wittenberg. 3 points. Lowe was thinking 3 points, and so's Wittenberg.
I was amazed. The first half, I was like, wow, this guy is hot. Nobody can stop him.
3-pointer by Wittenberg! 14-point Wolfpack lead!
Making 7 3-pointers, Wittenberg had 27 points at the half. Then soon after intermission, the Wolfpack's fortunes changed in an instant.
Derek took a shot, and he landed on Othell Wilson's foot and broke his 5th metatarsal, and we ended up losing that game.
When the reality of the situation set in that he was going to be out maybe for the rest of the season, it was a lot of doom and gloom on that basketball team.
Our hearts dropped. Without that ingredient in this recipe, we're not the same team. We're just not.
Jim was devastated, like the whole team was devastated, and like Derek was devastated, but that, we couldn't give up.
He was trying to get everybody pumped up. He said, I think something's good going to happen. It's just too soon for this team to quit.
Despite Valvano's positive outlook, the Wolfpack dropped 4 of 6 games, including a thumping by an arch rival.
Gannon nearly loses it out, well, I tell you, as it is stolen now by Jordan. Uh-oh, they love that. MJ up in the rafters.
After they lost by 18 points in Chapel Hill against North Carolina, Jim Valvano was really angry because he thought the team had given up on themselves.
I remember a meeting in the locker room back at Reynolds Coliseum where Jim Valvano said, all right, guys, we have to be realistic. I'm not sure we can make the NCAA tournament.
It was a ploy. It was his way of getting us fired up again. He was saying, we've dug a hole for ourselves and looks like it's going to be the NIT. And he knew that that's not what we wanted.
As February 1983 began, Jim Valvano's dream of a national championship was fading. His NC State team was 9-7, and leading scorer Derek Wittenberg was sidelined with a broken bone in his foot. Out of the abyss, freshman Ernie Myers breathed life into the Wolfpack, scoring 18 points a game in Wittenberg's absence, while George McLean and sharpshooter Terry Gannon further fortified the backcourt.
We really went to the three-guard offense, and we started to live off of the three-pointer. The outside shot, it opened up everything on the inside for Thurl Bailey and Lorenzo Charles, and that became our way of playing.
The rejuvenated Wolfpack stood at 14-8 when they played the third-ranked Tar Heels in Raleigh on February 19th. It would be known later as the Dawn of Destiny.
Coach V hadn't beaten Carolina yet. I think he was 0-7 going into that game, and the team just really started to play well.
Myers from about 16. Got it.
It was really the ultimate springboard. And what really capped it off is a breakaway. Sidney bounce pass backwards between his legs to Thurl for the jam.
Low on the fast break all by himself. Oh, what a pass! Oh, what a pass! It's Bedlam here. Oh, my God, there is Bedlam.
It's a little unusual to see a team cut down the nets after a regular season victory, but there was Derek Wittenberg in his street clothes being lifted up to cut down one of the final strands of the net.
We miss Derek for sure, but Ernie matured, Lorenzo Charles matured, Terry Gannon matured, and we're thinking, wow, this is pretty nice. Wait till Derek comes back.
8 days after NC State's stirring win over North Carolina, Wittenberg defied the conventional wisdom of his doctors and returned to a team that had won 7 of its last 8 games.
Coach Valvano pulled me to the side and said, "Yeah, listen, we've come a long way without you. And I think that, you know, although we need you and we're going to inject you back into the starting lineup, I think you need to adjust to us now."
While Wittenberg adjusted, NC State lost 2 games before crushing Wake Forest by 41 points to finish the regular season 17-10.
Thurl Bailey.
6 days later in Atlanta, the teams met again in the opening round of the ACC Tournament. With the score tied at 70, Wake Forest had the ball with 30 seconds left. Valvano called for a half-court trap. Sidney Lowe forced a turnover, and Lorenzo Charles wound up on the line with 3 seconds on the clock.
I remember missing the first shot and looking up and seeing all the NC State faithful, just staring at me. And I put it out of my head, and then I just calmly sank the next one.
Charles' free throw is good. And Jim Valvano's Wolfpack has won it.
It was white knuckle time again the next day against North Carolina. Tied at 70 with time running out, Tar Heel All-American Sam Perkins took aim at the Wolfpack's dream.
I'm watching that thing and I said, oh my goodness, please don't go in.
Perkins at the buzzer. Oh!
That team was dead. If they lost to us in the semifinals, they would have been going to the NIT. Everyone was kind of counting them out, and they just got more confident.
That confidence took flight when Wittenberg, who was 2 for 11 from the field, found his form. In the final 2 minutes and 5 seconds of overtime, he exploded for 11 points as the Wolfpack erased a 6-point deficit.
Wittenberg turns, lays it up good. State has the lead.
As far as taking the team and putting it on his shoulders, at that point you saw that he was comfortable, that he could do
anything and everything he used to.
North Carolina State has defeated North Carolina.
There's one myth that's persisted that NC State had to win the ACC Tournament to get in the NCAA Tournament, and that's not right. The committee had NC State in the tournament field after beating North Carolina.
Committee aside, Valvano's unranked Wolfpack knew it was just one more upset away from the ACC title. Looming ahead was number 2 Virginia and the 3-time Player of the Year, Ralph Sampson.
Sampson goes up again and
Down by 8 with a little more than 11 minutes left in the game, the Cardiac Pack took off on a heart-stopping 24-7 run.
Wittenberg puts it up and drops it in. Cinderella upset City.
Clinging to a 3-point lead, David stripped Goliath.
Sampson taken away from him by Gad and taken right out of his hands.
There was a magic about this team that was building in the Omni in Atlanta during those 3 days. That team was not going to be denied.
North Carolina State has won the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship.
As Jim Valvano and Assistant Tom Abeta-Marco were walking through the concourse of Hartsfield International Airport, they somehow got off on the wrong terminal and they went to their gate. They happened to look up and said, "This is not going to Raleigh," and they see it's going to Albuquerque, New Mexico. And both knew that's where the Final Four was going, and they thought that that might be a pretty good omen for that team.
Turn and look up the court. See if we can make that test.
Jim was completely different from anyone I'd ever been around. And what he could do, he had the best feel for changing defenses. He had the best feel when to substitute.
Jimmy was a terrific game coach. That's what the NCAA tournament's about. You got one day between games. You got no prep time, and he was able to do that.
The night before the Pepperdine game, he said, you know, if we get by these guys, we're going to win the national championship. I'm dreaming it. And I still see that look in his eye.
That gleam was nearly extinguished in Corvallis, Oregon. In the opening round of the NCAA West Regional, the 6-seeded Wolfpack, with no 3-point line in the tournament, trailed Pepperdine by 6 with less than a minute remaining in overtime.
I was watching the game and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, they're going to lose in the first round. I turned off the TV and went to sleep.
And an outstanding career for Sidney Lowe as he fouls out of the ball game.
Without his floor general and still down 4 with 29 seconds left, the Wolfpack was barely breathing. Then Pepperdine's Dane Suttle, an 84% free throw shooter, missed the front end of 2 1-and-1s. With NC State down by 2, Wittenberg went to the free throw line with 9 seconds remaining.
I would always set up on that left lane. And Cozell McQueen, our 6'11 center, says to me, "Let me have that spot." And we kind of start to argue.
I was telling Lowe, I'm gonna get the left side because I'm left-handed. You get the other side because you're right-handed.
And then Coach V intervenes and says, let Cozell have that spot. So I let him take it.
And the rest is history.
He missed the free throw, and there with the rebound, and the ball dropped in good by Cozell McQueen. We have a tie at 59, 3 seconds to go. Dane Suttle loses his balance, fires it up, and we go into double overtime.
It was Cozell McQueen's only basket of the game. In the second overtime, the Pack, scoring exclusively from the free throw line, escaped with a 2-point victory. The star player of his next opponent, 28-2 UNLV, was underwhelmed.
Somebody asked Sidney Green about NC State and specifically about Thurl Bailey, and Sidney Green said, "Thurl Bailey's not somebody who impresses me that much."
Thurl Bailey answered big time. Trailing the running Rebels by 12 with 11.5 minutes to go, he took command, and the Wolfpack closed the gap to a point. When the Rebels missed their 5th free throw of the final 2 minutes, Bailey opened the door to the Sweet 16.
Wittenberg with the ball. He tries a 20-footer. He missed it. Half up. Bailey missed. Bailey good. Thurl Bailey makes it.
It got to the point where we would come in the locker room after the game and kind of raise our eyebrows and look at each other and smile and say, how the heck do we do that?
Having emerged victorious in 5 straight games that weren't decided until the final minute, the Wolfpack traveled to Ogden, Utah, and rolled over the home state Utes by 19.
Look out!
This is a team that has come from nowhere and is escaping, and now they have this rocket punch.
We're playing with a lot of confidence right now, and I think that's the sign of a club that's on a roll, and that's what we're on right now.
In the West Regional Final, NC State met top seed Virginia for a 4th time and found itself back in high drama. Trailing by 7 with a little more than 7 minutes remaining, the Wolfpack launched still another charge.
Whitberg, he fires from 22 feet and hits.
Tied at 61 and with no shot clock yet in the tournament, Valvano made a radical move. He ordered his troops to foul, sending Othell Wilson to the line.
As a coach, would I do it now? Absolutely not.
V's the kind of guy that didn't want anybody else to be in control of his destiny. And most kids eventually will crack under pressure.
Wilson made his first free throw, then missed the second. With 23 seconds remaining, Lorenzo Charles drew a 2-shot foul, and Virginia called timeout.
I remember Coach V telling us what we wanted to do on defense after Lorenzo made the free throws. That helped me at the line because it put more confidence in me.
He puts it up and he hits. State has the lead, 63 to 62. Othell Wilson with the ball. Outside it comes Cullen, takes the shot. He missed it. Rebound Wilson. He's got it no good, and the State has won it. North Carolina State has upset Virginia.
After we won the game, Coach V said, I know I said what I said in the huddle, but after you guys left, I called Sidney back and I said, if he doesn't make the free throws, this is what we're going to do. But he didn't let me know, though.
It's been one close game and one thrill after another, overtime, double overtime, last-second shots at the buzzer. We're just so happy to go to Albuquerque. We're thrilled to get there.
A lot of people think of us in Georgia as maybe a JV game or a preliminary game or something like that, but it's not true. We're all here for one purpose, is to get the national title.
At the Final Four in Albuquerque, NC State defeated Georgia by 7 and advanced to the title game against #1 ranked Houston. Led by Clyde Drexler and 7-foot center Akeem Olajuwon, the team known as Phi Slamma Jamma had eliminated Louisville with its 26th straight win.
They had 17 dunks the night I scouted them, and I never seen anything like that. So we're up like 2 and 3 in the morning, and I'm trying to convince Jim to hold the ball. You know?
We practiced today at 2 o'clock. We will not take a shot.